Shocking news once again rocks the South Korean entertainment world. Jin, one of the members of BTS, couldn't hold back his tears when shocking news about Jungkook spread widely. He was said to have been fired from HYBE. How could someone who has been known as the Golden Magne, a global icon, and the face that has made the agency proud end up with such an extreme decision? This question is now in the public spotlight, sparking lengthy debates and uncontainable emotions among fans and music industry observers. The issue of Jungkook's dismissal from HYBE is not light news. The seemingly sudden decision raises big questions. What factors actually drove the company's drastic move? Is this related to contracts, internal conflicts, or management policies that have not been revealed so far? The fact that Jin was seen crying in public makes the situation even more dramatic. An idol who is usually able to maintain composure is now unable to hold back his emotions. Jin's tears seem to symbolize how heavy the psychological burden that the BTS members are now bearing. An internal source, who declined to be named, said that the decision regarding Jungkook involved differences in vision and direction between the artist and management. However, many parties doubt this explanation. Jungkook has been known for years as a loyal, professional, and disciplined artist. It is hard to imagine that differences in vision alone are enough to end such a large contract. In fact, rumors circulating reinforce the suspicion that there is a hidden conflict that has been covered up from the public. It cannot be denied. HYBE is a large company with a global reputation. Every policy they take certainly has business and public image considerations. However, the public is questioning, is this dismissal step really for the benefit of the company, or is it a strategic mistake that risks destroying fan trust? Jin's tears are real proof that behind all business calculations, there is a human side that cannot be ignored. Losing Jungkook is not only a financial loss, but also an emotional wound that is difficult to heal. Fans in various countries reacted harshly. Social media is filled with hashtags demanding an official explanation from HYBE. Many feel disappointed, angry, and confused by this situation. How can someone like Jungkook, who has given so much to the agency, be treated like this? Wrote one fan on platform X, Twitter. This phenomenon proves that decisions related to Jungkook are not just internal company matters, but also public issues involving the feelings of millions of people around the world. In the midst of the storm of controversy, HYBE remains silent. The official statement that was expected has not been released, only increasing public suspicion. This ambiguity encourages the birth of various speculations. Some suspect it is related to personal conflicts, others accuse financial problems or even pressure from external parties. However, without clarification, all these analyses remain hanging, while HYBE's image is slowly tarnished in the eyes of fans. Interestingly, Jungkook's own attitude remains a mystery. Instead of providing clarification or denial, he chose to remain silent. This silence adds a layer of drama to an already tense situation. Is this a strategy to maintain professionalism, or is Jungkook really so devastated that he is reluctant to speak up? The public waits with hope, while judging that the artist's silence is a form of silent resistance to company policy. For Jin, this situation seems very shocking. He, who has been known as a calming figure, could not hold back his emotions when he had to talk about a group member he already considered his own younger brother. Jin's tears are not only an expression of personal sadness, but also a representation of BTS's collective wound. No one ever imagined that a split like this could befall a group as big as them, especially in the midst of peak global popularity. In the future, the consequences of this decision could be very large. HYBE has the potential to lose public trust, BTS could experience severe internal pressure, and fans may find it increasingly difficult to accept company policies. This situation also raises a fundamental question. Is the K-pop music industry too dominated by business interests that sacrifice human values? Or is it precisely that there are factors that are not worthy of being disclosed to the public in order to maintain company stability? Now, the world's attention is focused on HYBE's next move. Will they provide an honest clarification that can defuse the situation, Or will they continue to hide behind cold and rigid communication policies? Meanwhile, Jin's tears continue to be a reminder that behind every contract, there are humans with hearts and emotions that are hurt. Whatever the reason behind Jungkook's dismissal, one thing is certain: this event has scarred the history of BTS and HYBE, not only creating emotional wounds for the members, but also shaking the relationship between artists, agencies, and fans. A big question also arises: is this the beginning of a bigger crack, or just a momentary storm that will eventually pass? Until that answer arrives, the public can only wait, with a heart full of question marks and eyes wet with tears, just like Jaein experienced. The news about Jaein crying and Jungkook being said to have been fired from HYBE does sound so shocking, dramatic, and heartbreaking for fans. However, are we really sure that all of this is an undeniable reality? Or is this event actually just a narrative that is deliberately formed, spread, and amplified to attract public attention and increase sensation in cyberspace? This question should be the basis of our collective reflection, especially when the flow of information is increasingly difficult to distinguish between fact and manipulation. Why did Jin's tears so quickly become news material? Did he really cry because of the company's decision? Or did his tears occur in another context that was deliberately cut, edited, and linked to the issue of Jungkook's dismissal? Doesn't the digital world today allow such manipulation, where one moment can be twisted in such a way as to form a narrative that seems reasonable? If so, are we being victims of social media framing that plays with our emotions? Furthermore, is it true that Jungkook was fired from HYBE? Or is he just going through another phase in his career that is perceived incorrectly? Much of the information circulating comes from TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and other alternative media that often prioritize speed and sensation over accuracy. The question is, will we swallow raw all the information that appears on our screens just because it suits our emotions or expectations as fans? Or should we restrain ourselves, double-check, and look for concrete evidence before believing it? If we think critically, we have to ask, what is the media's interest in spreading this kind of issue? Do they really just want to provide information, or are there hidden motives such as chasing views, clicks, or virality on digital platforms? Doesn't every view, every click, and every comment we leave ultimately benefit the content creator? If so, are we trapped in an attention economy game, where our emotions are used as fuel to generate profits? On the other hand, it cannot be denied that the feelings of fans are very easily ignited. Jin's tears, shocking news about Jungkook, and HYBE's silence form a perfect combination for a dramatic and viral story. However, are all these elements really related to each other, or are they just coincidences that are used to build a certain narrative? What if it turns out that the dismissal never existed, and everything is just wild interpretations wrapped as if it were the truth? Let's reflect together. What is the impact if we believe too quickly? Could it not cause greater disappointment, even a rift in the relationship between fans and artists? Even worse, are we aware that spreading unverified news can actually harm the parties we love, in this case BTS itself? If this issue is really a hoax, are we unconsciously becoming agents of spreading lies that actually hurt Jungkook, Jaein, and even HYBE? However, if the opposite is true, if this news is indeed true, are we ready to accept that bitter reality? What if Jungkook's dismissal is indeed part of the company's internal policies that cannot be contested? Will we continue to blame HYBE, or will we try to understand the reasons behind that big decision? These questions are important because they invite us to get out of emotional attitudes towards a more objective understanding.